Hey, this is Zach of Feel Free to Argue. And this is a video that I wanted to do specifically for Joe. Honestly, I don't care if a single other person watches it. You can, if you have particular feelings about Joe on the Sludge Report, you can certainly leave those comments here. But I want to do a video because, and I posted a response video to your last video, but that was just kind of a general one. I had done that, and actually Ella recommended that I make it a response video to your latest video. But I also wanted to do something that was more specifically responsive to some of the things that you said. And I would say that, certainly you could do whatever you want, and if you don't see any point to doing, these videos on YouTube anymore, I don't really have a whole lot that I can do. I mean, it certainly can't stop you. But I would argue that your services are actually more needed now than they have been. If only because the most important thing I think we have to fight against right now is a sense of complacency, because Obama got elected and because there didn't seem to be any problems with the election. Now, I made the point in the earlier video that this is actually its own problem, because we've given a huge sort of stamp of approval to this election process, which is still desperately flawed. I mean, all those arguments that you made about how the election could have been stolen, well, if it was any closer, if McCain hadn't spent so much time, shooting his toes off and engaging in bad strategy, and if people hadn't sort of inexplicably thought that, for some reason Obama was going to have a better response to the bailout, when they both basically responded in the same way by voting for the bailout package. I think we have, McCain could have had a really good shot at things, if things hadn't worked out differently. And if they had done all the vote suppression stuff, if they had really actively tried, meaning the Republicans, to win the election, if it had been any closer, it probably would have been doable. I mean, I think only because it was such a blowout, because there was so much movement at the end, that the Republicans basically probably did the calculus on Monday night, and they said, look, we can push this thing as hard as we can, and we're still not going to win. So what's the second best thing? Second best thing is we just let the chips fall where they may. We let McCain take his beating. We don't do anything really to try to stop it, and that gives a big fat seal of approval for our electoral process. And people won't be trying to get rid of all these bad laws that are on the books because they think the process is working just fine. So that's one aspect of it. But here's another aspect of it. And I've been thinking a lot about something that Chalmers Johnson said, which was it was a long-form interview, and at one point the interviewer started talking to him about styles of imperialism, and he said, actually, if you wanted to be an imperialist, I mean, if you're an actual corporate scumbag who wants to exploit people, and you're really interested in the United States as being an imperial power, that Clinton is actually more your man than Bush was, because he actually has some subtlety about it, which means that he's better able to put across the goals of the globalists, because he can do it with a smile and a handshake and a backstab, instead of troops on the ground, the way that Bush is more likely to do it. Clinton had a little bit more subtlety, a little bit more nuance, a little bit more tact. And didn't make him any better. I mean, he's still the person who kind of did sit by while Yeltsin turned tanks on the Russian parliament and sort of ended their little experiment with democracy. And now you have essentially one-party rule in Russia the way it was under the communist dictatorship. So Clinton let that happen. Our wonderful guy Clinton. So I think now is the time to pay extra attention, because we're still going to be being screwed with. But now the screwing with is going to be a little bit more subtle, a little bit more buried, a little bit harder to find. And just in terms of like a general plea, I don't know if you've ever done this and gone around and checked on, some of your subscribers, but I think you would be surprised. When you click to subscribe to someone, they often put recommendations of like other sites that they really feel strongly about, that they think, well, if you like my site, you'll probably like this person as well, or they just want to support that person because it's one of their favorites. I think you would be surprised by how many of your subscribers don't just view you as being a source or somebody that they watch videos by, but their prime source or one of their prime sources for information, one of the most important people in their sphere. And I know I certainly feel that way. I feel that you're one of the most important people on YouTube. And I personally would miss you a great deal if you were gone, if I didn't have your commentary, your insight into situations. And, just as one final thing, I mean, sure, Obama is better than McCain, but he's already demonstrated that without strong pressure, he's more than happy to sell us out to the corporate interests that have been running this country for the last 8 years. I mean, he did it with FISA. I mean, he's a constitutional lawyer, so that was a sellout. He knew what he was doing. He knew it was bad. Otherwise, what kind of constitutional lawyer is he? So he knows that's a disaster. He knew he shouldn't have done it, and he did it for the money. You look at the bags from the Democratic National Convention, it says DNC 2008, and right underneath that, just as big, another logo said AT&T. So we definitely need the help of intelligent, principled people like you to help us understand what's going to be going on in an Obama administration. We need your help to make sure that he is a decent president. And I certainly hope that you continue doing your vids. And if you don't, I want to thank you for doing a tremendous job and for providing me with a great deal of information that I don't think I would have gotten otherwise. Anyway, this is Zach Elliott. You can always feel free. No, actually, you can't feel free to argue with this one. Because it's all true. You are a great news source, and I'm not going to brook any argument with that. So, that's all for now.